In the early 1980s, the Snedeker family moved into a house in Southington, Connecticut. They were looking for a new home, and this one seemed perfect for their needs. But what they didn't know was that the house had a dark past that would soon catch up with them. At first, strange things started happening. The family noticed strange smells, heard odd noises, and saw shadowy figures moving around the house. They tried to ignore it, thinking it was just their imagination. But as time went on, the occurrences became more frequent and more disturbing. One day, the youngest son, Billy, was playing in the basement when he discovered a strange room hidden behind a wall. It was filled with creepy objects, including coffins and old mortuary equipment. The family didn't know what to make of it, but they soon learned that the house used to be a funeral home and that the room was used for embalming. As the days went on, the family became increasingly terrified. They saw ghostly apparitions and heard voices that seemed to come from nowhere. They contacted a local paranormal investigator, Ed Warren, who came to investigate. He discovered that the house was haunted by the spirits of people who had been embalmed in the funeral home. The haunting escalated, and the family decided to move out. But it was too late. The spirits had latched onto them and followed them to their new home. The family continued to experience terrifying occurrences, and they were desperate for help. The Warrens worked tirelessly to rid the family of the spirits, and eventually, they succeeded. But the trauma of the experience stayed with the family for the rest of their lives. They never forgot the horror they had endured in that house in Connecticut. The story of the Snedeker family's haunting became the basis for the horror movie The Haunting in Connecticut. But for the family, it was all too real. They had lived through a nightmare that they could never forget. Despite the Warrens' efforts, the Snedeker family never fully recovered from the trauma of their haunting. Carmen Snedeker, the mother of the family, suffered from nightmares and hallucinations for years after the ordeal. She became convinced that she was being followed by spirits wherever she went. Today, the house where the Snedeker family experienced their haunting is no longer standing. It was demolished in the early 2000s, and a new house was built on the property. But the legacy of the Snedeker family's haunting lives on, both in the horror movie inspired by their story and in the memories of those who lived through it.